We walked the Green Mile.
Green
Felt like we walked the Green Mile.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's part of the line.
If y'all saw that movie, Green Mile. Yeah. How everybody doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Normally, man, Pop asked me to come speak, man. I take a couple minutes to kind of, ponder what I want to bring. Today, man, I said, I'm just going to just let the Spirit speak, whatever comes. So, well, first, let me, share a little bit about myself. Let me share a little bit of my story. All right. Now, my story is not more important than your story. Actually, to you, your story should be the most important story there is. It has to be that way, right? But since I'm the one who's up here talking to you, right, it's only right that I take a second to share some things about myself. So, I'm originally from Chicago, right? Born and raised, right? Grew up on the west side, lived a little bit on the north side. I'm sure, just like, some of you guys, right? Baptized and, baptized and, what society called, the gang culture. So, that was me. Moved up here to Minnesota, man. We've always had family up here. I've always had a lot of cousins, a lot of aunts up here. And so, I was always comfortable in Minnesota. Operating though in that, in that energy and that gang energy, that gang culture. Right? Operating in that, someone end up losing their life and I end up going to prison for first degree murder, right? Life in prison. So I'm sitting in prison for, I'm gonna say around 4 years. Started off at Oak Park Heights, never made it to Stillwater till, much later. But I'm sitting in prison, and I remember, man, them having a tour. I remember the warden escorting the commissioner around the prison, right? And I remember them stopping by my cell, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, yeah. He said, so, you heard a lot about you. He said, too bad you won't see the other side of the prison this again. That's what he said. Now, I can't use the language I responded back, right? But, let's just say I told him to, kick the status. Okay, right? Kick rock. Okay. So that was in 1991, I believe it was, because in 1992 they shipped me out of state. So I believe that was 1991. So fast forward to 2011. Actually, no. Let's fast forward into 2007 when we met Pop, or was it 2008? 2008. I'm down in Fairboat, hook up with Pops while I'm at Stillwater, because I just came back and stayed in 2002. I did all that time on the East Coast in Philly, Delaware, most of it in Philly, Delaware. They let me come back in 2002. So from 2002 to 2007, I'm at Stillwater. First time I've ever been to Stillwater, right? I used to get kites from brothers who was down there at Faribault. They used to say, man, Will, man, when you get up here, man, you gotta check Pops out. You gotta check Shane out. You gotta come to this group. You gotta come to this class when you get up here. I mean, they were just telling me left and right. Brother, he mentioned Baba, Richard McLemore. Just, I mean, everybody who was down there was sending me kites, telling me, right? And I'm like, okay, you know, we'll see. You know, you guys know how those prison programs is, you know, groups, for those of you who've been there. So, you know, it's always okay. We'll see. So, you know, I get down there, I meet Pop, and I say, wow, this brother got something. I say, no, he got something. I said, you know, he got something, you know. And he got some tools that, you know, I can use to better my life. 2011, 3 years later, he and I were walking down to my parole here. Now, I had been denied what I think around like, you know, around like 3 times. I think this was the 4th time, I think, went up, okay? I received parole. Okay. I remember having conversations, man, on the flag. Brothers tell me, oh, man, Will, man, this is, you know, it's crazy out there, man. You know, and it's gonna be rough out there, brother. You know what I mean? They ain't trying to, you know, give us an opportunity or a break, you know. Man, you know, you're black, you know, murder charge, you know what I'm saying? Man, you know, who you is, last name, all that, you know, man. So, you know, the deck is stacked against you. I get out of here, all right? And now, we're in 2025 now. But from 2011 to 2025, let me tell you what happened. So, now, I'm teaching now. I've been teaching at Summit Academy for around a good 10, 11 years, okay? They said I can never do that. You know, I mean, you know, I'm that guy, you know, that guy had got that, you know, that murder jacket, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm that guy, so they said I couldn't do that. More than 5,000 is a conservative number, but at least 5,000 students I have taught, have came through my classroom. I have taught. Nowhere in the state, man, I could go and not see a student who came through my classroom. Why am I telling you this? Because one day I'm teaching. A young white kid come up to me and he said, Mr. Lord, he said, my grandfather was served on your jury trial. That's what he told me. And so, you know, at the time, right, I'm like, okay, you know, that's the past, you know, okay, big deal, okay, you know, it happens, you know what I mean? But later on that night, as I'm laying in bed, where I started to go over what he said, and I was humbled by what he said because I realized that the same people that judged me and sentenced me to life in prison now send their children to be taught. You see what I'm saying? How things can go full circle, right? So now, in the midst of that, right, I became a home owner, right? I'm married. I have a, daughter who's waiting to go to college. I've been politically active. Actually, we've played a role in having some bills passed. Some of the bills that affect you, are the fact that once you're released from, jail or prison, you're allowed to vote, right? We testified. Actually, they asked me to testify at the House and the Senate with that bill.
That's right.
Right? And we got that bill passed. I get asked, man, all the time to come here, to do that, to do this, to speak here, to speak there. And just some years earlier, I was told I would never see the other side of a prison fence. And so, here's the thing, I asked myself, okay, how did I get here? How did I get here? And I realized that the same way I got here is probably how you got to this point, right? I started to invest in myself. See, man, we're all a company. We have to start thinking about ourselves individually as a business, as a corporation, okay? The more we invest in ourselves, right, the more valuable our stock is.
That's good.
The higher it rises. Well, you know what? They caught me early on. Like they caught a lot of y'all, they caught you early on. Well, it's easy to catch someone who don't know who he is. Catch him early on, right? That's how I got caught, right? But once I started to invest in myself, started to raise my own value of my stock up, increase my value, okay? Now, the sky is the limit for me, And look, I don't know what that is, because I keep striving.
That's right.
The sky's the limit for you guys. They caught you early on. There's no shame on nobody. Nobody knows everything, right? Nobody knows everything, right? Most important thing now, though, now that you started to make positive choices in your life, right? What steps are you going to take now to raise the value of your stock? I'm a man now. Everybody want me now. Then nobody want me then.
Come on.
See what I'm saying? But I'm the same person. I just figure out how to invest in myself, right? And raise the value of my stock, right? Now, society now feels like I'm a valuable commodity, right? Now I get all kinds of calls from the streets all the way up to the government level. The point though, man, is that years ago when I didn't know who I was, see, when you don't know who you are, it's easy for someone to tell you. It's easy for you to pretend to be a hoe or a pimp, or a thug or a gangster. See, they get you then. It's easy to fall into someone's trap because you haven't established your own walk yet. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know what you're doing. But now that you're starting to invest in yourself now, and you want something better, you do. Oh man, it's a new ball game for you now. It's a new ball game, man. It's a new ball game. And you don't know what your limit is. You don't know because there's no way you can know because your potential is unlimited. You know, I mean, this world on that now. Next year, 5 years, and from now, I'm gonna be somewhere else, right? Because I'm not done investing in myself. I'm not done. So man, I just want, I'm just here just to remind you guys, man, that yeah, you're valuable, lovable, powerful, and important. But as soon as you start to take yourself seriously, see, when we was out there clowning, that's clown. That's the clown. Well, a clown don't take themselves seriously. So when we was out there doing that, there's no way we could see what we could do, who we could be, how we could serve. But now that we're starting to take ourselves serious now, hey man, the sky's the limit for it. The sky's the limit for it. That's it.
Questions, comments?
What do you teach at Summit OS?
Okay, so now they got me, so now I'm teaching OSHA certification. So I'm awarding students OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 certification. So those, OSHA stands for Occupational Safety and Health Administration, right? OSHA OSHA's purpose is to promote safety awareness, right, and to keep employees safe. So that's the job of OSHA, and they do this through education, workshops, and certifications training, as well as enforcement, right? That's what I do now.
Is it an expensive class?
Is it a what?
Expensive class?
No, I teach at Summit, so I work right over there off of Ocean at Summit Academy. It's a vocational school, right? We have some trades over there, carpentry, electrician. We got the dentist program over there now.
Wow.
I mean, that's starting up, and that blew me away, right? So, I mean, that's good, so we got that. We got a nursing thing, like a nursing assistant program over there, and we got I think we still have the IT program over there. Look, these guys, a lot of y'all are over there, students of mine, right? They come in there as they are, right? In terms of the workforce, they ain't worth much then.
Right.
But once they get those credentials and we certify them, right? Now they go from making $10, $12 an hour. Now they get employment making $19, $20, $23, $25, $27 an hour, right? Because now they have the training. But really, only thing they did was come to Summit to raise the value of their stock.
That's good.
That's all they did. That's all they did. Now look, there's more than one way to do it. Summit is just one way, right? There's all kinds of ways where y'all can do that, right? But the point is though, that you guys are your own company, man. You guys are your own business. And if you take care of your business will take care of you. And that's what it comes down to.
I think one of the questions I heard was, is it expensive? So does it cost? What's the cost?
No, Summit is, thank you for that, Wayne. Summit is it won't cost you anything. It won't cost you anything.
This question is kind of more on a personal level. So you made a transition from that life to this life.
Yep.
I'm not far as talking about like the work life and all that.
Yep.
That's all going to come once you make a decision. But far as being an active gang member for so many years, like I come from a family that's generational
Yeah.
active, like the Kings, you know, so for me to say, all right, I'm done, like, how can you go, it's repercussions to that. You know what I mean, as far as with white people.
Yeah, and I know those people, you know? Yeah, and so, you know, this is the thing, right? So look, let me remind everybody who has been baptized, right, in the street organization. Because, you know, I mean, a lot of time has passed, right? A lot of drugs have come, right? And done, you know, kind of caused everybody to forget why, you know, these movements were starting to begin. Okay? We're not in the streets because that's where the glory is at. It was through circumstances that we all ended up in the streets. Okay? No one desired to be in the streets. Right? Anyone who can do better is not going to be in the streets. So we shouldn't put no pride and glory in the fact that we're in the streets, because we didn't choose it, right? It was the circumstances of our birth while we ended up in the streets, right? Okay, so I want to start there. Now, we know we in the streets, we in the gutter, but everybody want to do better, right? It is our desire to want to do better is how we was exploited by drugs. Because we looked at drugs as an opportunity to help lift ourselves up, right? The desire was legit. The means, not so much.
Good point.
Right?
Good point.
But the desire is what we are talking about. Now, if we know everybody want to do better, no one want to be in the streets, no one decide that. It's not like we rich and say, you know what, I'm gonna give this up, I'm going in the streets. Right? No one done that, right? No one done it, right? And since we realize that, we have a responsibility or obligation to try to figure out a way how to get us out of there. Right? Now listen, we all not ready. We all not ready. Some of us can't. But what I've learned, right? I've learned what it means to represent what I was representing at the highest level. And I learned that didn't have anything to do with the streets. Right? And that if I love brothers and I love mine the way I said I did, right? Then, you know, I want to be able to represent a better example for them, you know, so that when they're ready, right, they have a roadmap, right, to show them a blueprint to show them, okay, you know what, this is how I can get out the streets, right? Who got kids in here? Who want their kids in the streets? You see my point? We don't, now look, the reason why we don't want our kids there, because we didn't want to be there.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
And we've been there, and we know what it's about. And that's why we don't want our kids there. Right? Okay then. So, when brothers see what you really stand for, when they see what you really trying to do, and when they see that you are trying to create some positive, way out, so if not them, then maybe their children can live a happier life than what they did, right? They're gonna embrace that. You know what I'm saying? Even if I can't save me, you know what? If I can save him, if I can save her, and you helping me to do that because you showing me a way out for them that I can see for myself, I'm embracing it. You understand?
That was a great question and a great answer. Now, give him some help on that.
Any other questions? Comments?
I do. So I've been talking to this group about adding training, as you indicated. I want to make sure we're touching on all the training available at Summit. You mentioned that there's carpenters training. And Will, would you want to let this down again?
Okay, first, let me start here. They got an amazing GED program. They just received two more awards. I mean, so their GED program is really good. I say that, man, because when I was young, man, it seemed like to get a GED, brother, seemed like it took forever. You know what I mean? You know, I'm talking about like, you got to go to school like 4, 5, 6 months, now this, a year, you got to take them tests, man. It just seemed like it took forever, man. Summit, the students there, they get their GED within 4 to 5 weeks. You know, I mean, they got an amazing GED program. And if you just came there for that and you didn't want to pursue the construction path, I mean, hey, that would be a good enough reason to come for it. You know what I mean? To get that, because I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if Pops told you, but one of the factors that they use in building prisons is dropout rates. They look at dropout rates. Dropout rates. People who leave school, who don't graduate, right? And they draw a correlation between people who drop out and who end up in prison. And they get a strong idea from that, how many prisons to build. I mean, you know, we don't know that, right? We don't know that not having a GED or a high school diploma puts us on a pipeline, a track that increases the probability of us going straight to prison. We don't know that, but nevertheless, it's true. It's true.
So someone has GED, what else?
Carpentry, electrician, they kicking this dentistry assistant program off in probably like a month. Right now, the teachers are building the curriculum. So it's there, it's ready. It just, they just get the curriculum ready. So the dentistry, carpentry, electrician, IT, but IT, you can't have a felony for IT, right? It's the only program at Summit that's not felony friendly. I used to ask, well, why do we have it here? I mean, that's not what we've been, about, so why get that if it's not, but anyway, yeah, don't get me going. So, IT program, and we have a nursing, assistant program. And I believe that's it, man, unless I'm forgetting something.
Little sister in the back, go ahead.
Yes.
For the nursing, are you saying nursing or do they have CPR training as well?
Well, okay, so I'm saying nursing assistant, but we do have a CPR program, but we don't offer it every every set. However, we just offered it again 2 sets ago. What's great about that program is whenever we offer, we pay the student like, $300-400 to take it. Now, you may think, oh man, that's a come up, right? Man, listen, it used to disappoint me how many students went to sign up for it and get the bag. Just a little bag, but still something. It's bad. They're there, they going to school and they're like, it used to blow my mind, man. I'm like, wow.
What kind of job you can get with Ocean?
What kind of, OSHA don't get you a job per se, but what it does, it awards you with a safety credential so that an employer knows that you're not a liability to them. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That you have a safety awareness, right, about yourself, and you can be an asset. Yeah.
So with the IT program, you said can't have like any felony, or is it like computer felonies?
Man, they said no felony. They said no, and trust me, I done got on about that. I done exhausted that. What you said? I said, well, what about a class this, that, and class? They said a class what? They just say felony. Yeah, no felony for that program, unfortunately.
Any more questions or comments? Go ahead, David, you're back.
Yes, sir.
I was there back in probably 2007, and I ended up getting locked up, so that ended that right there. And I never went back, but it's you guys have a beautiful program there. I was there for carpentry, and that's when you guys was out there building the house.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, or you
Yeah.
go somewhere else and build a house.
Yeah.
But that's the program I was in there for.
Yeah.
And it was my fault, I wasn't ready to leave the past behind me. But my question is, I can't remember, I think I asked it when I was there, do you guys help with expungement or anything like that?
No, we don't, no, Summit don't help with expungement, but what we do at Summit, we refer you to, someone who can help with expungement. And we've done that too, so, I personally know we've done that, yeah.
So there is maybe a way around
There is a
that
path.
felony.
There is
As long
a
as I
path.
stay on that straight line with you guys.
Yeah, there is a path.
So we have that same
Component,
information.
yeah.
So, I'm gonna let Will get back to his job, but give him a big hand. Okay, good. Yeah,
I thank you, man.
Thank you.
Will,
Yeah.
don't forget I gotta take the mic.
I just wanna tell you.
I gotta get the mic.
I'm so proud of Will.
I gotta get the mic.
And what he has been able to accomplish in his life. He owns him and him and his wife bought a beautiful home. Not one of the first or second tier suburbs. You can't tell me what an ex-fella can. Cause I'm messing with him all day and every day. For 20. Little sister, that nursing assistance training, that could be a pathway for you. You know what I mean? And it's free training, and once you get the certification, then we can work on, like David was saying, is how do we expunge your felonies? And depending on what your felony is, it's different degrees. Will was kind of mentioning it's Class A felony, Class B, Class C felony. And so depending on what it is, it's easier or more difficult to get rid of. But you put in that school between yourself and that felony, that's powerful. You make yourself more valuable, and that's what Will was saying, is how do you add value to yourself? Money attracts itself to value. I'm gonna keep on, we're gonna keep on going, and then we're gonna be able to get out of here at 2 o'clock. We're gonna get out here a little bit early, but I wanna introduce you to another one of my sons. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, he made me think about what drove me to the streets when he said that.
Go ahead.
As far as we don't want our kids there.
Right.
And like, I probably was in the streets at 10, 11.
Six, excuse me, go ahead.
There wasn't no food in my house, so,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So I would never want my kids.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I'm doing a lot of things I'm doing. Cause I would wanna force them to the streets.
Yeah, yeah. And Will was giving it just a low down and dirty angle to it. So it's saying somebody who parented you or didn't parent you, left you to fend for yourself, and the only direction you could go in was this direction. And then there's others, like my brother here, who were born into, baptized into, you were born into the gang behavior, like Will is saying. He was born in, his father was already the leader of a gang and was well known around the country as that leader. And so he was born into it, didn't have no choice. Mom was involved, everybody was involved. All the kids got involved because it was baptism by birth. Just the fact that my family's in, I'm in. Therefore, you don't have an option, say no option. No option. Yeah, to make a choice for yourself. Let's hear a similar story, but from a different person of color. And I want Lee Vu, this is my son who I love. I've been with Lee Vu since 2011. I started with him in Rush City. Lee Vu was a little banger. I'm sorry. He was a little banger. He slid into my class. His hair was about this long. It was longer than mine. My hair was long too. His hair was about this long. Lee slid into my class. Like, you know, what's up? I've been hearing about you. I've been hearing this and that, like Will was saying. What you got? Let me see what you got. You know, and then, you know, I just stayed on fire in them days. I was hot from the time I got up, and I just got hotter as the day went on. So I just said, come on in, have a seat. You know what I'm saying? And we've been rolling together ever since. Lee, like Will, is a married man now, living a good life. Say a good life. Good life. I just want to tell you, give Lee Vu a big hand. He will
Man, thank you, man. I'm so happy to be here. You know, I'm at Pop. My name is Lee Vu. I'm at Pop in Rush City. I remember that day, one of my friends, African American too, and he was a really good friend. His name was Reese Graham. He becomes the professor.
Yes.
He was so smart in that. He didn't, you know, he'd been in prison for I think 20 years. He didn't have a TV. He didn't even buy a TV. I'm like, Reese, he got a TV, but he just read books. Like, he's so smart. And like, he said, you know, this program, Power of People, you know, you should go. And I'm like, nah, man, I don't need that stuff. You know, I was into working out, playing cards, you know, trying to run the gambling prison, whatever. And I wasn't into that. I didn't sign up, but he signed up. He signed my name up. So yeah, so I heard, you know, the guard like, hey, you got to pass down, you know, at the bubble. So I went down there. What's the pass for? He said, you know, Power of People. I was like, well, anyways, since my name's already on the list, I might as well go. And that's when I met Pop. You know, that first class was so powerful. Changed my life. I swear, like, it just changed me. I was like, man, you know, these are like new information. You know, I never heard nothing like this about personal power, about being, you know, knowing yourself, right? Nobody ever taught me this. You know, kind of like Bill, you know, my parents, they were Hmong refugees. I was, you know, Hmong, you know, after the Vietnam War, they came to the United States and relocated to the projects. So I kind of picked up, you know, just street stuff, you know. Because my parents, you know, they didn't know the language, they didn't know, you know, how to navigate, and they didn't really know how to take care of us in the United States.
Right.
All they knew was agriculture. So, you know, we here in America, there's so many things here that they didn't know. So we were just, you know, left to the street. So that's why I picked up, you know, started joining gangs and caught a case, a murder thief. I got sentenced to prison for 26 years. I did 18 years. I went to prison in 2003. I was 18. I didn't even graduate from high school yet. I was about to go, but caught a case, went to prison, and got my GED in prison. So I basically grew up in prison. So I got out 2021, not too long ago. I think on the 20th will be my 4th year out. Yeah, so once I met Pop, I changed. I made the decision that what, I'm gonna change my life. I stopped hanging with the guys. They're like, what do you want, man? Now you're going to school, you're taking all these classes. How come you're not playing card at the table no more? You're not going down to the gym, lifting weights. I mean, I still work out, but I just do it in my room. And I just like, what? I'm not, I see a new path. I see a new me. And as you learn this class, it's hard to change. It's sometimes hard to change because when you want to change, the man you see is always the one in the past. Like you didn't even have a concept of a new you. So when you want to change, you're like, you can't, because every time you think back, you only see the you in the past. And what Brother Shane did was he made me see a new version of me. Like, hey, you don't have to live that life. You can live a new life. You can be a new man. And these are the skills that I'm pretty sure you guys learn in this class. How to be a new you. And to be a new you have to have commitment.
Yes, sir.
Commitment. You gotta have commitment. And what a commitment is? Commitment is you gotta close that door from the past. All the way in. And focus on yourself right now. Because if you can't see past your past, you can't live in a prison. You can't see the future. It's all about commitment. So when I came out of prison, I made a commitment, like, you know what? I'm not going back to prison. I'm not hanging out with my old friends. I'm not hanging out with none of them. I see them and I say, hi, how you doing? Then I just go my own way. And at first I was like the brother say too, like, man, how they gonna feel about me? But then I thought back, like, well, when I was in prison, they didn't send me no money. They didn't send me no letters. They didn't care, Not that they didn't care, but I wasn't on their mind, So when I came out, I thought about all that. I'm like, you know what? I have to look out for my best interests. I can't, come out here and, like what Bill said, get back in the track, fall back to the track, because if you don't see the new you, when things get hard out here, you're gonna go back to the old you.
Right.
And that's all you know. So what we're trying to do here in this class is break that cycle, break that process. And you have to make a commitment today to be a better person, to be a new you. And I know it's hard, when I come out, I got a capital crime, felony, looking for jobs is very hard, very difficult. Everywhere I go to, there's a good job. When they look at my background, they turn me down. But I don't let that turn me away. In fact, other than this class, I also teach a men's class too, similar to this, every Thursday. I have about like 20 men that I mentor and coach. I also do youth group every other week, and me and my sister, I work with my sister too. So this is kind of like a news. So we started our own nonprofit. Yeah, we did. I was right there with you guys. I never like what nonprofit, how to start a business. Like Bill said, you gotta invest yourself. So I came out, did the research, and we started our own nonprofit. So we came to launch. I'm gonna bring it out to we plan to launch sometime around April.
Right.
So we've been just doing a lot of great work, talking to politicians, community leaders, learning how to raise funds, learning how to write proposals. I'm learning all this too. So never give up on your dream. So my dream was that I'm gonna come out and break that cycle in my community, in my family. And I was gonna add to this, I forgot about the commitment part, right? So it's a story, right? Going back to commitment is, you know, when I got married in my culture, once you get married, you have to get rid of everything from your past. So if you have, so my wife, we had a table, and there was, you know, it's a home wedding, so you know, we had a table with kind of like the elders, they was kind of like imparting knowledge to us, like, hey, you know, now you're a married couple. This, now we expect you to do this and that. So anyways, they said, hey, told my wife that if she had anything, ex-boyfriend picture, anything, to bring it to the table.
Wow.
You know? So my wife came down with this big binder. I'm like, what is this? You know? No, I'm just kidding. No, it was a big binder, but it wasn't all like, you know, her boyfriend. It was, you know, so she brought the binder,
Right.
then they was going through it, and you know, just ripped the picture.
Wow.
Throw it away. Like, you know, you were a new husband now, a new life, the old. So, you know, that made a big impression on me because even though I'm Hmong, I was never really into my culture like that, you know, all my tradition. But once I got married, you know, I kind of see like, man, you know, this is serious.
Yeah, right.
This is serious.
Yeah.
You know, commitment. So I just want to say this, man, that in this class, you know, I hope you guys, you know, I hope you open your eyes and make a commitment to stay sober, you know, stay on the street, stay off the street, and be committed to your goals. And just keep, like, you know, hey, you're gonna have your bad day, it's okay, you know. And I just want to let you guys know that Brother Shane, they're doing something. Just give him a call. You give me a call. I wish I read the number. I call him, you know, call Will. You know, Will, he's being very humble. Will actually tutored two of my little brother and one of my friend.
Yeah.
So one of my brother, he became a foreman at Centerpoint. I don't know what Centerpoint is. It's a gas company.
Yeah.
Maybe like $50 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, like $50 an hour. And he got his GED and his certificate over there. You know? So the thing is that when you get a certificate, you get an entry level job. You get entry. So once you win a job and you perform well, then opportunity open. So what the certificate do is give you an entry into the workforce.
Right.
And I also have a friend who was an addict for like 10 years, you know, in the prison, in and out. I never thought he was going to change. He took that class at Summit.
Yeah.
So now he's a foreman.
Wow.
He got his own crew,
Right.
doing carpentry work, you know. And my other brother, he's a carpenter too. You know, but
You
now he's
helped
doing
him all out?
uh,
You helped them out?
well,
Will help them.
yeah, Bill Hilton. Yeah, no, they told me, they're like, oh yeah, man, you know, I know him, man, big black guy, you know, driving a motorcycle. Yeah, that's Will. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, Will, you know, he drive a bike, you know. So yeah, no, big black guy with a motorcycle. Yeah, he's the one that, you know, oh yeah, I know Will. You know, so, because they was telling me, like, yeah, you know, my tutor, he went to prison, you know, he get life. And they was telling me about it, and, you know, they described Will. Like, oh yeah, I know Will, he's a black guy, you know. So what Will is saying is true. He's not making it up. And I know these, like two of my brother and one of my friends that went and took that class and applied it and, you know, made a good living.
Right.
So, you know, he's being humble, but, you know, they doing great work at Summit. You know, if you guys, you know, want to get a job or get an entry level, you know, just to get into the workforce, entry level, you know, and work your way up, Will's the guy, you know, and, you know, give it a check. And, you know, let me think. Well, I mean, that's all I got to say. You know, you guys.
Questions or comment?
Any questions
Hey,
or
but you
comments?
power the streets. You don't pay for cheap.
Oh yeah. So he's saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Give a hand. But you know, I love food and to see him deliver to you all in an authentic kind of way. You know, some of y'all have had that gang history in the past, like Will and like Boo, And that's kind of why we wanted to share with you. It don't matter what you was doing yesterday. Some people gonna judge you, let them judge you. But let them see what your heart is now. That's what Will was saying. Nobody really wants to be there when you give them a chance. If you ask them, do you want your child there? If the answer is no, then that means they don't really want to be there themselves, but they don't have another way out. That was a great question and a great point. Go ahead.
I like how you weighed out your options. When you thought about, like, what did they do for me? I was always told, don't give nobody nothing that you can't get for them. And don't do for them what they can do for you. So that was good.
He was my student teacher in Fairville. I put him in front of other men as a leader, and that leadership skill, you are not seeing it right now. He's putting that to use. And him and his sister work with me and my wife, one of the group that's his sister. And we raising up Asian boys and girls, lifting them up, Native boys and girls. We in St. Cloud with it. Makai right here is the manager, coordinator of the Boys of Hope program. We're in schools. Ananiah who was here yesterday, is one of the mentors. Got a murder beef, he's in school, mentoring up young boys, trying to get them on the right track. Because the idea, listen to this carefully, the idea is how can we trick you out of or love you out of track 2. Yeah. You know, so I want y'all to give Lee another big hand.
Before I forgot, I was gonna add one thing, that I learned from Pop. You have to control your thinking. Pop was taught that, the prison of the mind, right? So when you commit the crime, you commit it in your mind first, right? Before you actually went out there and you commit the crime. So it's all in your mind. You gotta break free of the trap to the prison of your mind. And, hold that door to the past. And I learned that from Pop. So every time I have the thoughts creep back, and I'm like, oh, now I have the willpower to commit, like, no, what? I'm not gonna do it. But if you keep thinking about, because some of you thinking about that, like, hey, I'm gonna go and maybe come up, maybe right. I'm gonna go
hit a lick,
right. Or smoke something, or go back to the same woman that put you in prison. Matter of fact, I had a guy I was working with that, and this woman kicked him out. And he went back, kicked him out, he's back there. I'm like, well, I don't know what to say.
Right.
So you have to change your mind, because that's where it begins. So I just want to say that, crime happens in the mind first. And if you can stop it there, you can prevent it from actually going through it. That's all. I'm
gonna give y'all got any comments or thoughts just in general? Is that helpful to you to have my sons come and deliver like that? Yes. Right. Because I want you to see yourself as somebody else's body who've been through some stuff. These boys, I'm bringing all lifers. This one, you can't tell me what you can't do. I'm the wrong guy for it. I've been in it too long, and I've seen it too many times to buy into any of that negative thinking. What Lee is saying is the thought of being a criminal starts in your own head and heart. If you can squash out the thought in your head, it eliminates the opportunity. Yeah, like spraying the bug.
That's why you get premeditated.
Premeditated.
Unpremeditated.
Exactly.
You walk away.
You walk away. This one we're gonna do, when we're getting close to the closing, tomorrow, I want to remind you, tomorrow the barbershop will be open at 9. So if you want to see the barber, this is all free. If you want to see the barber, he's gonna be in a motorhome right out here in front. They block off some parking, so he's right in front. If you wanna come early to get in and get out of the barber shop, you can. He's there at 9 and he goes till about 1 or something like that. Trimming you up, clipping you up, fading you, you know, whatever it is you need, mustache, beard, all of that. Bald head, he cleans that, he cleans the bald head off, you know, and he's excellent. He's a master barber. He's also a pop guy. He's also one of my former students. You can't tell me what you can't do. We referred him to an entrepreneurial organization that he stayed with for a year. At the end of the year, Mr. Nunn, they granted him a $50,000 loan to buy his barbershop. His dream job was to be able to cut hair. He still cuts for other people, but then when he's done with that, he gets in his barbershop, his mobile barbershop. He's cutting all over town. His hours are his own hours. His cash flow is good. You can't tell me what you can't do. I've been around too long and I've seen too much. You can do what you want to do. You got to get it in. You all right, boy? So, this is how we're gonna do it. I really want to tease out any more thinking